let me set the stage for you. The journey to retrieve the Golden Bows has led the LCB to the Great Lakes of U-Corp, the Great Lakes being a wide, vast expanse of horrors beyond our comprehension. Their first major objective was to meet up with Pilot, the new assistant manager of the LCCB, after the previous assistant manager, well, you know. With necessary intel on how to proceed forth through getting the Golden Bow, it's necessary for the LCB to make contact with Pilot. There's one little snag though. The Twin Hook Pirates fucking abducted him, leading us to our current predicament, where the LCB enters Marlin Port Club to beat out the information from the Twin Hook Pirates on where they hid Pilot, so the mission could proceed forward. After fighting our way through the Port Marlin Club, we finally corner Smee to get the information we need.
잠깐. 나는 건드리면 안 돼. 너네 진짜 후회하게 될 걸? 난 뒷배가 있어.
뒷배?
그것도 무려. 너무 겁먹지 마. 중지의 작은 형님이야.
What the fuck is a big brother?
게다가 퀵해그를 하는 자. 넌 잘 모르나 본데 상당한 현상금도 걸려 있어. 감히 중지의 탈퇴를 선언한 것도 모자라서 잠적을 타버렸다며? 멍청한 게 지나친 것도 정도가 있지. 중지는 결코 잊어버리는 법이 없는데 말이야.
Since Library of Runa, the only thing we've known about the Middle's structure is that it was a syndicate on par with the Thumb and the Index. However, they were all but completely wiped out by a certain grade 9 fixer in Library of Runa. Could they have returned from the time in Runa to this game? Who knows? Ishmael then proceeds to threaten Smee's life because she just shit-talked her girlfriend for like 3 minutes straight, and also just to get the information about where Pilot is. Ishmael was so serious, in fact, Smee instantly folded to this. While Ishmael tried killing her anyways after the information was let out, Dante took the blow for her instead. After rescuing Pilot, it's confirmed that, in fact, the Golden Bow was at the LobCorp branch. And when the Twin Hook Pirates abducted them, they weren't alone. A big brother of the Middle was there on that LobCorp mining facility. An unforeseen shadow, radiating a purple aura, it was then promptly interrupted by a huge whale. An encounter of a big brother of the Middle, let alone the abduction of the Twin Hook Pirates, was borderline traumatizing for Pilot. However, he was saved now, and the LCB knew where their goal was. They would head to the Limbus Company drilling facility shortly after this. The LCB proceeded forward to the Great Lakes until... Even after a brutal ass-kicking at the Port Marlin Club, the Twin Hook Pirates still gave chase, as they never forgot. They were dispatched off easily, though, and we proceed through the Great Lakes, fighting horrors beyond our comprehension, multiple times over, and actually winning? Damn. Even after getting to the drilling facility, the team I barely scrapped together managed to hold up very well. For how hard on a first playthrough some bosses like Cromer or Dongbaek may feel, it does feel wonderful to know that you're progressing forward, even if you don't have a set in stone team yet. After the LCB learns that the Golden Bow is inside the Pallid Whale, through verifiable sources or not, they're lost on what to do and how to proceed forward, considering, well, it's inside a giant whale. As the LCB begins to leave,
안개놈으로 선박 여러 척을 관측했다. 단 메피스토 팰레스의 윤곽은 아니다.
it's the Twin Hook Pirates. Again, for the third time. They're dispatched of easily...
오라라? 저기, 저 가운데 있는 사람 말이야. 폼? 그런 게 아니야, 단테. 저 문신을 보고도 모르겠어? 저자는 중지의 저 형이군.
준비 운동은 끝났나? 형님께서 시간 줄 때 싸게 해라. 찌뿌둥하군. 이렇게 오래 걸릴 줄은 몰랐다.
협상을 원한다면 우리 쪽에서는 들어줄 용의가 있다.
작은 형님이 진짜 올 줄은 몰랐는데.
그래, 내가 왔다. 난 말이다. 지금까지 인생의 대부분을 중지에 바치면서 단 하나 깨뜨릴 수 없는 철칙이 있었다. 하지만 오늘부로 그 철칙이 산산조각 나고 말아버렸다. 너희가 내 개인 금고를 털어가는 바람에 말이지.
응? 쌍갈고리 팔을 털어서가 아니고?
그러니 이 자리에서 고하도록 하겠다. 너희들의 용서받을 수 없는 죄를.
저기 우리가 비록 그 스미 씨랑 조금 말다툼이 있긴 했지만
그대의 부하는 우리가 무사히 돌려보냈어.
야 잠깐.
스미? 그게 누구지?
그 누구냐면
괜한 언둥이었는가?
어디 보자. 그럼 그 죄까지 추가해서 더하면 상은 북신과 퍼석으로 나눠진다. 너흰 그 차이를 알고 있는가? 손으로 움켜쥐었을 때 안정감 있고 부드럽게 잡히는 것이 북신이며, 끄끌하게 손가락을 뚫고 나오는 가닥들이 퍼석이다. 그 중에서도 최상의 북신이 되기 위해서는 매일같이 인고와 단련의 시간과 섬세한 손길이 필요하지. 알겠나? 이 머리를 알맞은 모양으로 푹신하게 고정을 시키려면 수없이 많은 노력이 필요하지. 유사의 최고급 항구인 대왕가오리 항구선에 위치한 프라이빗 미용실 원장에게 헤어스타일링을 무려 5시간 동안 받을 수 있는 쿠폰. 거기다 그 쿠폰이 있으면 누구나 멋쟁이가 될 수 있는 데다가 사전 예약 없이 방문도 할 수 있다고 적혀있지. 북신을 위한 원대한 한 걸음이었다. 하지만 그 쿠폰을 털어가는 바람에 나는 기약 없이 버석인 채로 살아야 하겠지. 자, 봐라. 이게 너희 중 하나가 저지른 극악무도한 죄의 증거다.
몰랐어. 저놈 것인 줄은. 아야 그렇잖아. 금고에 알록달록한 고양이 스티커들만 붙어 있었다고. 그걸 뭐 누가 저런 엄청난 녀석 금고일 거라고 생각해?
취향이라는 건 사람마다 제각각이다. 마치 호수처럼 다양성과 취향을 무시한 것도 명부에 적을 수밖에 없군.
누가 히스 입 좀 틀어막아. 저 장부에 또 뭐라도 더 적히기 전에.
그리고 그 죄의 대가는 8조 20항을 보면 거기서 A행의 6번째 헤어 쿠폰. 그래, 찾았다. 관계자 전원. 그러니까 쿠폰을 도난한 자와 그자와 친분이 있던 사람의 직결 처형이다. 나는 중지의 작은 형님 리카르도다. 죽으면서 새기도록. 기억은 무척이나 중요하니.
썩 맛있진 않았어. 다음이 있다면 더 콕.
The fight with Ricardo doesn't begin immediately. Instead, you're sent to fight a wave of little brothers. This is meant to represent the line that Ricardo is in fact giving you time to warm up, but also literally warm up in-game for getting ego resources and SP. The structuring of Ricardo's fight makes the first turns the most important, and also brings in one of my favorite factors about how these games are designed. That factor being risk assessment. Unless if you've watched this video, the word risk assessment probably mean nothing to you. Risk assessment in this game is the ongoing process of identifying each outcome and what works best for you and what has the least amount of downsides. Even before fighting the main man himself, risk assessment is very present in this fight. This is due to how the little brothers are designed as enemies. In their passives alone, two unique challenges are presented. The clash-lose conditional in particular providing more support to their minus coin skills, meaning you can't fully take your time with just clashing against middle little brothers, and actually need to stagger and or kill them. Which brings us to the next passive, where when a middle ally is killed, you gain +1 coin boost next turn, which isn't capped. Meaning you can't play into them too fast either. Killing multiple middle members in the same turn will just make the others supercharged. So even when you're preparing, you have to balance so you don't lose HP and you're not giving them that big of an advantage early on as well. Meanwhile, at the same time, if you lose clashes against them, they apply plus coin drops or paralyze, making your clashes overall less effective next turn. There's also the factor of their shield skill, just outright giving them final power if they have shield at turn end, making their clashes way better, which directly plays into the main point I'm trying to make about how these enemies are designed. You can't beat them too fast, and you can't beat them too slow. You have to balance it out, as they work in tandem with each other, which I think, despite it being so simple, was executed wonderfully in this fight. To give you a bit of leeway in your decision making for this factor, there's an intentional design choice to have two waves before Ricardo of just middle little brothers. So, with all these upsides, you may be asking, what's their downside? What big glaring weakness do the middle little brothers have? Well, their weakness, despite dealing mainly blunt damage, is the factor that they're weak to blunt. I don't know why this is, however it reinforces the idea that despite dealing blunt damage, the middle is in fact weak to blunt. So notably, your heavy hitters of the team are going to be attackers with blunt skills, meaning that you can even utilize base IDs for this fight, such as Heathcliff or Merceau. If not that, then maybe the multitude of 2-stars with good blunt skills who will play very good into the weakness of middle units. If you're at this point in the game, there's a high chance you pulled an already obtained one I'm showing off right now. If even not that, you also have the factor of base ego. Base blunt ego for single target damage goes as follows: Body Sack Heathcliff, Chains of Others Merceau, and Snag Harpoon Ishmael. Since you're forced to use Ishmael this fight, you always want to have Snag Harpoon available using both Wrath and Gloom skills in your team. But more notably than the single target ego is the multi-targeting ego with blunt attack. Both Land of Illusion Honglu and Representation Emitter Faust are multi-attacking blunt ego. Attacking multiple targets with blunt damage in this fight is very, very good. And as they are Zion egos, the ego resources required to getting both isn't that hard and you barely have to build around. It's just amazing how we're not even on the boss yet, and this fight already makes you think about how to team build, how to play around the enemy's strengths, and how to play around the enemy's weaknesses. I view it as a true representation on how simplicity in game design can be perfectly utilized to create multiple solutions to different problems. You know what the end goal is, you know what you have to do, but you have to build your own method to approach it. And after executing that method, and getting past the 2 waves of little brothers, your tutorial's over. The fight begins. Welcome to the game's first real power spike in difficulty. You know everything you learnt about the middle little brothers? Yeah, throw that out the window. And then pick it up with a dustpan because we need it. Ricardo self-buffs like crazy depending on middle little brothers dying, heals their SP at turn start, and also has the Chains of Loyalty passive. If that wasn't enough, if you don't damage him enough on an attack skill, you lose about 10 SP. Alongside that, he buffs middle little brothers by giving them attack power up, and also giving attack power down to 2 enemies with the least SP. He can also summon more allies on using this attack skill in particular. Oh, he also inflicts paralyze. Oh, he also gains coin power if you're below 0 SP, also lowering your SP on hit. Oh, also his big AoE attack raises your stagger threshold by 30, guaranteeing a stagger. On paper, this sounds just like they're throwing a lot of hard shit at you, and admittedly they are. However, I skipped over a few key things when it comes to Ricardo. 1, his In the World of the Bristly passive, giving 6 defense level down after losing a clash 3 times next turn. This is easily achievable after going through the whole fight building up ego resources. On its own, this won't be enough to handle Ricardo. However, there's one more thing that combines with this very well in the Ricardo fight itself. For a turn, Ricardo will utilize both a block and a dodge. The block, as we previously discussed, increasing the effectiveness of his allies and decreasing the effectiveness of your units, and alongside that, he dodges as well. But there's something important to note about that dodge. Ricardo's dodge will give him 2 tests of the Big Brother and 5 bind next turn. Let's focus more on the test of the Big Brother status effect. Test of the Big Brother, while active, will make Ricardo take double damage from skills, alongside taking double stagger damage from Tremor Bursts. You know what that means? You're given a chance. In the turn where Ricardo is blocking, and the turn thereafter, you have to lay as much blunt damage as possible into him. As Ricardo is fatal to blunt, this will make him take 4 times as much damage from a blunt skill when having the status effect. Meanwhile, you have to manage 2 little brothers on the side, and also offset his dodge so he doesn't dodge any of the blunt attacks in question. Meaning, you have to make sure all of your units are unstaggered for this phase in particular, unless if you want him to gain 50% more damage next turn, which isn't a good idea. So how do we beat this? The answer's not as simple as it seems. Hell, even on my first playthrough, I struggled with this fight a lot. And this was me fresh off Runa, so I understood how hard combat goes in these games. Also the factor that this was in Season 5. We didn't have Heisho or Ring Nurse Fathers or anything. So, again, I present the question, how do we beat this? I present to you Operation Hurt Him. Understanding your resources and what you can work with in this fight is key to winning. We already understand Ricardo gets defense level down after losing a clash. Also tested the Big Brother making him take double damage from all skills, with his fatal blunt resistance making him take 4 times damage from blunt skills when this is active. The method is in sight. 1. Get a big blunt damage dealer, either from pulls or from support. 2. Make sure Ishmael takes as much attacks as possible, as she cannot die unless all other allies are dead. And 3. Make sure your team is efficient at generating their own ego resources, so they can clash with Ricardo's skills with high rolls that they gain throughout the fight. Ricardo's fight enforces this strategy of utilizing blunt against him, and honestly, I kind of love it. I feel like this is the first fight in the game you have to build into, rather than just throwing strong IDs at it. Trust me, a lot of methods in this fight can work, but for a first playthrough perspective, overcoming this fight was a blast. This fight teaches you effective decision making in a way that I really like, and while hard and punishing, isn't hard and punishing to the point where it's straight up unfair. Ricardo feels like a mountain to overcome. Everything that's been built up about Ricardo, both in lore and in gameplay, does not feel like he's undersold. And this fight is a perfect demonstration on the future of game design that PM would go into for Limbus Company, and creating engaging boss fights. He's perfect, and he was a giant leap in the right direction for PM. And then it's time to execute the plan. Working off Ricardo's weakness to blunt, you can deal so much damage, but even then, it might not be enough to stagger him. Regardless though, you must keep pushing forward to stagger him, as Test of the Big Brother lasts for 2 turns, meaning you have 2 turns to deal double damage. Keep laying into him, and then Ricardo is staggered. The plan is working. Screw survivability. Lay in as much damage as possible. At least make him close to his next stagger threshold. The next turn begins when he's unstaggered. He's giving us another test? Good. This is it. This is our chance. We managed to loop him. Now we can lay in as much damage as possible. Go, Sinclair! Use your ego! Oh, right, it's slash. But you know what they say. If it bleeds, you can kill it.
장난이 길어.
The fight's cool and really well designed, and I like it. It's hard for all the right reasons and encourages team building, and it's probably one of the most underrated fights in the game. That's really all I had to say about it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you liked the fight too.